These are 9 questions science still cannot answer, and one of them is in your medicine cabinet, another in an operating room a few miles from you right now. Number 1, dark matter. We'll get to the ones inside your house. Start at the far end with the biggest thing on the list. In the 1970s, an astronomer named Vera Rubin was measuring how fast stars move inside spiral galaxies. She expected what everyone expected. Stars out at the rim should crawl the way the outer planets crawl around our sun. Instead, the outer stars were keeping pace with the ones near the middle. By every law anyone had, those galaxies should have been tearing themselves apart. Something is holding them together. Something with mass, spread all through the galaxy, giving off no light at all. That's dark matter, and it comes to about 27% of everything that exists. We have been hunting the particle ever since. There are serious candidates with names like WIMPs and axions, and detector after detector has come up empty. It has gone on long enough that some researchers now suspect dark matter isn't one thing at all, but a mixture of several. Rubin died in 2016, having found a quarter of the universe, and never once getting to see what it was made of. Number 2, dark energy. Rubin's galaxies had too much gravity holding them in. The next problem is the exact opposite. In 1998, 2 rival teams of astronomers set out to measure how quickly the universe's expansion was slowing down. Everyone knew it was slowing. Gravity had to win eventually. Both teams got the same answer, and the answer was backwards. The expansion isn't slowing. It is speeding up. Something is pushing the universe apart, harder every year. They called it dark energy. It is the largest thing in existence, roughly 68% of everything, and it is in worse shape than dark matter. With dark matter, we at least have candidates. For dark energy, we have a name for what it does and almost nothing on what it is. That measurement won the Nobel Prize in 2011. And newer data has reopened a question people thought was closed, whether the push could one day reverse and pull the whole universe back toward a single point. Number 3, anesthesia. Those first 2 are the largest things that exist, so you would assume that's where the unexplained lives. Far away, enormous, safely abstract. It isn't. Here's one happening a few miles from you, several times a day. Right now, a surgeon is beginning a procedure we have been performing for nearly 200 years without fully understanding it. A patient breathes in a gas or takes an injection, and within seconds, they are gone. Not asleep. Asleep is something you can be shaken out of, and this is not that. A person can be opened up, worked on for hours, feel nothing, remember nothing, and come back as though no time passed at all. General anesthesia has been in continuous use since 1846. We know a great deal about what these drugs do to individual nerve cells. What we cannot explain is the part that matters, how any of that adds up to switching a mind off. Science magazine lists it among the biggest open questions in all of science. We turn consciousness off and back on millions of times a year. We have never found the switch. Number 4, consciousness. Anesthesia asks how a mind can be switched off. This one asks what it is that gets switched off, and the clearest way in is a patient who could not see. In the 1970s, a man known in the research only as DB had surgery that damaged his primary visual cortex. Afterward, he was blind across half of his field of view. He saw nothing on that side, and said so plainly. But when the neuropsychologist Lawrence Weisskranz asked him to simply guess where a light was, DB pointed at it, correctly, over and over. His eyes worked. His brain handled the light. What had gone missing was the seeing. Weisskranz called it blind sight, and it isolates the problem exactly. We can follow that signal from the eye through the brain out to the pointing finger, every step of the way. What we cannot find anywhere along it is the moment any of it turns into an experience. In 1995, the philosopher David Chalmers named this the hard problem. Attention, memory, telling someone what you just saw. Those he called the easy problems, and they are only easy by comparison. We can describe every signal in a brain, and still not account for why any of it feels like something. Number 5, the wow signal. That is the deepest hole we have pointing inward. This one arrived from as far outward as we have ever managed to listen. August 1977. A radio telescope in Ohio called the Big Ear was sweeping the sky. One night, it caught a burst from the direction of Sagittarius. Narrow, strong, 72 seconds long, sitting almost exactly on the frequency researchers had long guessed a deliberate signal would use. An astronomer named Jerry Eman went through the printout the next morning, saw the spike, and wrote one word in the margin. Wow. Then it stopped. We have pointed telescopes back at that patch of sky for almost 50 years. It has never come again. There is a new lead. A 2026 study suggests it could have been natural, a cloud of hydrogen out in space, lit up for a moment by radiation from a dying star. It is a good theory. It has not closed the case. 72 seconds, once, in 50 years of listening. And the signal is only half of that puzzle. The silence around it is the other half. Number 6, the Fermi paradox. Because that silence is enormous. The galaxy is old and vast, hundreds of billions of stars. We have now confirmed more than 6,000 planets around other suns, and we are nowhere near finished counting. Run the numbers with almost any reasonable assumption, and life should be common. Somebody should have crossed the galaxy, or at least been audible, long before now. The physicist Enrico Fermi reduced it to 4 words over lunch in 1950. Where is everybody? Nobody has answered him. One possibility is that something stops civilizations. A filter somewhere on the road from simple life to starships that almost nothing gets through. The uncomfortable part of that idea is that we can't tell whether the filter is behind us or still ahead. The other possibility is worse. Maybe the galaxy is full, and everyone in it has worked out that announcing yourself to a universe you don't understand is a bad idea. That the sensible move is to stay quiet and listen. If that is the answer, the silence isn't empty, it's careful. Number 7, the placebo effect. That is the silence outside. This one is inside the house. And unlike the operating room, it is sitting in your medicine cabinet right now. Give someone a sugar pill, tell them it is medicine, and for a whole range of conditions, they genuinely improve. Not imagined improvement, measurable. Scans catch the brain releasing its own painkillers and its own dopamine because the person expected relief. That much we broadly understand. Expectation is a physical event. Here is what nobody can account for. Ted Kapchuk's group at Harvard ran the version where you tell the patient the truth first. This is a placebo. It is sugar. There is no drug in it. And for some conditions, it still works. Knowing changes nothing. That is the part that breaks the tidy explanation. If the effect ran purely on belief, honesty should switch it off, and it doesn't. It works on pain, on nausea, on fatigue. It will not shrink a tumor. Exactly where that line sits and why the truth doesn't cross it is still open. At least with a placebo, we agree something is happening. The next one, physicists can't agree there is anything there at all. One quick thing, then the last two. If you would rather sit with an open question than a tidy answer, that is what this whole channel is. Subscribing is how the next one finds you. Number 8, the Mpemba effect. In 1963, a 13-year-old in Tanzania named Erasto Mpemba was making ice cream at school. He was in a hurry, the freezer was filling up, so he put his mix in while it was still hot, where everyone else had let theirs cool down first. His froze first. He asked his physics teacher why. He was told it was impossible, that he must have made a mistake. He kept asking anyway. Eventually, a visiting professor named Dennis Osborne took the question seriously enough to go and run it himself. And in 1969, the two of them published it together. Aristotle, it turned out, had written down something similar more than 2,000 years earlier. Here is why it belongs on this list. 60 years on, the argument still isn't settled, and it isn't the argument you would expect. Careful modern experiments keep failing to reproduce the effect at all. So the open question is not why hot water sometimes freezes faster than cold, it is whether it really does. Of everything here, this is the only one where we cannot even agree there is something to explain. Number 9, the origin of life. About 4 billion years ago, Earth was hot, battered, and lifeless. Ordinary chemistry, carbon, water, a handful of simple molecules. And then something started that had never happened before. It made a copy of itself. Everything alive since is a continuation of that one event. We can get close to it. In 1952, Stanley Miller sealed the gases of the early Earth in glass, ran sparks through them for a week, and found amino acids, the building blocks of proteins. We have since found those same building blocks arriving on meteorites, formed out in open space. The ingredients turn out to be easy. The ingredients are apparently everywhere. But nobody in any laboratory with every advantage and unlimited patience has ever crossed the last gap, from a jar of the right molecules to one living cell that copies itself. We have all the parts. We have never once built the thing. Whatever closed that gap 4 billion years ago has not happened again in front of us, even once. And it is the entire reason there is someone here to wonder about it. We tend to picture science as a finished map with a few blank corners left to fill in. It is closer to the opposite, a small circle of light, with the dark pressing in on every side, at every scale we know how to look at. If you like learning about science and psychology, a like and a subscribe genuinely help the channel keep going. I'm Ponder. I'll see you in the next one.